With all the diplomacy of the arresting officer at a nonviolent drug offense, Bitcoin has stabbed back into demand for the umpteenth time in this trading range, leaving many to consider, is it possible that we are going to break down and see those lower targets of 7,400, 6,400, 5,400? It seems like just a month ago, everyone was screaming, I'm going to buy at 8,000. And now all of a sudden it's, well, I'm going to buy at 6,000. And now, for the love of God, check out YouTube, check out crypto, Twitter. People are saying $3,200 support isn't going to hold. Come on, Bitcoiners. Where is your strong hand? Let me know in the chat, guys. Also, today, the 18th million Bitcoin will be mined. That means there are only 3 million, milli with an M, Bitcoin left to mine. If you guys do not have your long-term predictions, your long-term investment strategies, your long-term ideas about where Bitcoin's price is going to head, and at which prices you are comfortable being long-term invested in Bitcoin, with the halvening 6 months away, I would say it is probably time to sit down with a piece of paper and a notepad and reassess your priorities. We've also got some interesting developments in the world of cryptocurrency today, as well as our analysis in today's exciting episode of Breaking Bitcoin. Welcome to Breaking Bitcoin, recorded live here in the studio that does seem to change every single day. Today is Friday, October 18th, 2019. Foul year of our Lord. My name is Justin Wise, lead analyst and senior mentor at KrakenCryptocurrency.com. Hopefully you guys are doing absolutely fantastic wherever you happen to be tuning in from, and whether you're watching us from across YouTube, Twitch, DLive, Facebook Live, or on Roku with the Investor News Channel app. If you would like to support the show, because it is the few, the proud, the brave, the strategic, systematic systems traders who come to this channel, and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us if you're over there on Twitch or DLive. Share us around to your friends, your family, maybe even people you don't even like so much, because the information is important and it supports the price of Bitcoin potentially. And make sure to give us those thumbs up. We highly appreciate it. For the YouTube algorithm gods, of course, today's episode is brought to you by Bing, the Kraken Cryptocurrency Premium Trading Group. If you are a new, experienced, or aspiring trader, if you guys would like to work on pushing your skills to the next level and developing a systems approach to trading, then make sure to check out the website, link in the description down below, to see everything that the group can do for you in growing your skills. Let's see, guys. As I've said, San Francisco Blockchain Week. It's about a week out where I am going to be stepping onto a plane and flying into sunny San Francisco with the rest of my team. We're going to be there live. We're going to be there doing interviews. We're going to be there checking out the booths. We're probably going to be eating some street vendor food. I don't know if that's going to be at San Francisco Blockchain Week, but we're going to San Francisco and I'd like to eat some street vendor. I don't know. I've never been to San Francisco, so I don't really know. Trying not to have too many predictions about it. But anyways, we're going to have a fantastic time. We've already got a lot of guys from that watch the channel that are in the Discord that are going to be showing up as well. If you are going to attend, make sure to let us know. Also, if you know any interesting individuals that are going to be attending, traders, developers, influencers in the space, let us know. We'd love to schedule an interview. If you guys have not yet purchased your tickets, there is a link in the description down below that you would want to use if you want to purchase your tickets, because that will save you 15% off your purchase price. Doesn't matter whether you're just getting a ticket to CESC. Doesn't matter whether you're just getting a ticket to the Epicenter event, or both. Or maybe you are a developer and you'd like to be invited to the private hackathon session. Either way, link will get you 15% off your purchase price. With that being said, I'd like to thank this month's Crypto Comment giveaway sponsor, Spectre Security Coin. Make sure to go check them out at spectresecurity.io. Let's jump over into the live scene, give away some crypto for a loyal YouTube commenter, and break down the price of Bitcoin and all other things with today's live stream. Let's go, guys. All right. How you guys doing today? Okay. We got Bitcoin's price pulled up here, but that's not what we want. We want the YouTube random comment picker. Now, just 1 second, faithful traders. And I need to pull up yesterday's video, which was Bitcoin breakdown game plans. Sounds like a rap video. Yesterday's show was good. We had a lot of good fun. If you guys did not get a chance to catch yesterday's video, make sure to go check them out. And we're going to randomly pick a winner. And it was Alpine Whip, a.k.a. Marchampa. You changed your name on YouTube, my good friend. What's up, Marshall? He's back in the saddle again. Missed the stream, my man. It is good to be back. Listen, it's still like that sickness is still in my chest. It's the most annoying thing. I keep coughing my brain out, but I'm here. I feel good. I'm getting a little bit better every single day and just continuing to push forward and push through and reestablish. Got some good stuff. Well, we'll talk about it later. Anyways, thank you so much, Marshall, my good friend. Make sure to hit me up in the Discord and I will tip you some crypto. With that being said, bing, over in the live stream. Here we are at Bitcoin's price. We are, of course, on the Bitstamp chart. I am, of course, coming to you from Neo Tokyo. And guess what, guys? Assuming the cross-legged stance that I like to. Here's the thing, guys. You're going to notice a little bit of flickering. Oh, over here. You're going to notice a little bit of flickering over there. Guess what? I just don't care anymore. I spend, sometimes I spend about a half hour to an hour every single day trying to optimize the green screen. And it could be my own perfectionism because, I'm constantly trying to make the studio look better. I'm constantly trying to make the video quality as good as possible. And you just got to reach the point where you're like, you know what? It's good enough, guys. And the content is going to be better than the visual aesthetics. But I think that what I am going to do, I've thought about this for a while. I am going to, some changes have happened in the office and some things have been moved out so that I do now have more space to operate in now. And I've kind of gotten my staking set up over here, which you guys can't see behind the green screen, a little bit more cleaner. And so I think what I am going to do is I'm going to move things around so that potentially the green screen won't even be necessary anymore, or that at least will be up against a wall. So the studio might look different when we come back to you live on Monday. That is, of course, assuming that I can get all the rest of my tasks done over the weekend, because I do need to finish the 4th module of PTP and get that done. I got about halfway done with the presentation and developing the learning material last night. So that's almost done. I also, of course, need to finish up the course, the quiz, as well as the Pine scripting material that needs to go with it as well, and shoot record on all of that. There's also a ByBit tutorial video that I'd like to do. And I'm working with a couple students on optimizing their Pine testing strategy. So the life of a trader. Bitcoin's price, guys, we are currently trading at $79.15.37 on Bitstamp. Let's take a minute and congratulate Mr. Midwest. What did my good friend do? Am I going to do a Halloween costume for the October 32nd-ist stream? The October 32nd-ist stream? Yes, I potentially might wear the dinosaur mask. If you guys are familiar with the dinosaur mask, you long-term viewers of the stream. Let me know if you guys want tunes today. I'm kind of feeling, it's Friday, feeling loose. Let me know if you guys want to turn the tunes on. But I will just say it is Friday. We are here. It is the weekend. And you guys know what the weekend means. The weekend typically means, at least it has for the last 3 months, so we ride the train until it falls off. The weekend pretty much means that you can buy whatever altcoin you want and you're going to make some money. Typically the weekend means you should probably be flat on Bitcoin. It does list generally lazily up to the upside on weekends. There is low volume and high volatility. So even more pronounced is that phenomenon where, you just kind of have to hold a position. And that becomes dangerous, especially for Bitcoin, because what you have is you generally have, so this is more pronounced because of the fact that we're trading in a range where you have low volatility for several days, and then you have a sharp, sudden stab in one direction, right? And if you're not in the market in that direction for that sharp, sudden stab, then the trade's over. We're not breaking out. We're not breaking down at the current moment. It's just ranging and consolidation. Now, because the possibility, of course, is on the table that we can break down below this range and descend to our lower price targets of 7,400 and 6,400, I, of course, am going to maintain the short. There's really no reason to be longing Bitcoin, looking for a trending breakout long, and looking for those, prices of 9,300, 9,400 at this point in time. The first thing that we need to see is we need to see price above 8,400 here on the daily and a nice good daily close above that trading range. Until then, it's just ranging consolidation, and you hold the dominant position open to the downside because that is the higher probability trade. When all else fails, if you don't know what to do, you either are flat or hedged, which is always safe. And you also you look for the breakdown movement when trading in a range. So yeah, that is a good opportunity. You know, I didn't let us not waste on that, because I was planning on making an announcement actually in the premium announcements today. Everything just got kind of carried away yesterday. I'm just obviously being away for a week. I'm trying to just get back up on everything and get caught back up on everything. But yes, I do want to give a huge shout out to my good friend Midwest Attempts, who is now a junior analyst in the Discord. He has his own trading channel. If you guys are in the Discord, he will be posting his thoughts, his feelings, his analysis of the market, as well as his trade setups in that channel, as well as in the CC Trades public channel, which is separate from the premium channel. But good guy, done a lot of work on his strategy. I really enjoy him, and I think you guys will too. So shout out to you, my good friend Midwest Attempts, one of the most helpful members of our Discord and one of the most promising students that we have at this point in time. So kudos to you, my good friend, and I am looking forward to everything that you can do in the future within our community. So make sure to give him some love in the Discord and in the channel, guys. Make sure to go check out his channel and incentivize him and let him know how much you appreciate his help in the market, because he does. I've seen that guy take many hours out of his time to help people out, constantly, always in the Discord, helping premium members out, helping people understand PTP, helping people understand TradingView, and people like that are pretty rare. So big shout out to you, my good friend. Okay, Bitcoin's price. Minx, let's take a look at the indicators. Minx sitting pretty solidly below the noise line at this point in time, and well below the static level, obviously, because we have not crossed back above into static. So there's really not a whole lot to talk about here. You know, I've heard there's been a little bit of talk about bullish divergence, and to look at bullish divergence, I'd prefer to look at time transformation or just Fisher transform. So we'll just pull up the Fisher transform indicator. I do think that the Fisher transform indicator is much Fisher transform, although you can use Minx for bullish divergence, you can look at it that way. I've always used Fisher transform for bullish divergence. So I want to talk about something that I've talked about many times before. Could we potentially get bullish divergence on the Fisher? Well, let's look at the last time we bottomed, and the last time we bottomed, let's go ahead and actually get rid of these. The last time we bottomed was right here. You know, so what is, so you guys can't see this very well, but so you can actually see this is actually a bottom where we actually do end up crossing back over. It takes generally about 2 to 3 daily candles to confirm a crossover, because, or to confirm a bottom, because you have to cross over and then move back up. Here is an example right here of coiling. This isn't a great example of coiling. Coiling can often happen in periods of very low volatility on the Fisher transform. But here's an example right here of not a top, right? And here is also not a top. So these areas aren't valid to use, because you can see that it does cross up, but immediately crosses under on the very next candle. Now, if you do change your settings on Fisher transform, now I don't have all the smoothing in here. I don't have all the smoothing in here that I would have for Minx, for example. But if we, for example, okay, so no, that's not really going to change things too much, but yeah, so changing it to something like OHLC4 will smooth that out a little bit. Obviously, changing it to HL2 or HLC3 will smooth that out as well. But relying on closing price, we can see that this is an actual top, because we do cross under and then continue for a while. So generally, the rule of thumb is the cross and then an additional candle. So that's a minimum of 2. That confirms a bottom. More conservative traders will also wait for the second close. So the cross and then 2 subsequent closes to confirm a bottom. And that is exactly how divergence will show up on time transformation anyways, because you do have to have that confirmed bottom. Now, so if we're talking about potential bullish divergence, regular bullish divergence, well, obviously the requirements are there, and we don't often talk about regular bullish divergence, but I got a lot of questions about it, so we'll talk about this. Now, we have a confirmed bottom over here from the 28th of September to the 30th of September on this low. Now, we are seeing a lower low in not in low, actual true low of price, But in closing, which I think is currently, we'll have to wait until this candle closes, but we are, descending into lower areas. But regardless, even if we don't actually see a lower low and we see an equal low and we still get a higher low on our oscillator, that's not class A, regular bullish divergence. That is class C, bullish divergence. It is weaker, but it's okay. And you can take action off of it if you want to. But anyways, there's no confirmed bottom. We're going to have to actually bottom out of this and have the crossover and move to the upside a little bit, or at least move sideways enough so that our indicator does cross over before anybody can talk about regular bullish divergence, which, I don't generally trade regular bullish divergence because it's subjective and it's a reaction, it's reaction. Of course, I'm a reactionary momentum trader, but it's not, it's not part of my main strategy. But it is something that can be acted upon, and it is something that is not too bad. It's not too bad in cryptocurrency. It's has, I'd say, a little bit better than 50% predictive power. And if it's giving you a directional bias, it's one of those rare opportunities where you can actually buy something like a reversal. So I think that if you're looking for, obviously you guys know my feelings about reversals. I'm a trend following trader. I do take reversals on occasion, but let me make this very, very clear. And I was having this conversation with a good friend of mine earlier. And I think this kind of maybe will hit the nail in the head. Most traders are losing money, unfortunately. A lot of the guys that come into the group, and I say this with as much compassion as I possibly can, a lot of new members that join the premium group, they are joining to improve their skills, or they're joining because they're not seeing the results that they want to see. And so where we start is a systematic approach to trading and following a very, I wouldn't say simple, but easy to understand and well-defined set of rules. And you follow these rules and you construct a you construct a systems trading operation, a technical indicator-based strategy, and you utilize that. You follow the rules and you use the tools. And you incorporate risk management into that, and then you are disciplined and dedicated as to when you trade every single day and how you trade every single day. And those that follow those steps have dramatic results. The people that struggle more are the people that attempt to do that and still take subjective trades, right? I don't think that you want to do both, because I can just see from having mentored students for the last 3 years, the difference in the results, the people who come in and say, all right, cool, I'm just going to do this. I'm only going to do this, and I'm just going to do this until I'm profitable. Those people have a quicker turnaround. Those people have more success, and those people often get to exactly where they want to be a lot faster. Those who come in and still want to kind of half-ass do the systems trading and half-ass do their subjective trading from before, they don't get the results that they want because there was a problem with what they were doing before. So you kind of have to excise that and cut that out completely, because that's what I did and that's what I teach people to do. So, but I get this, some people, especially, students of mine, they're like, Justin, sometimes you talk about taking subjective trades. How does that fit into what you try to teach? I'm like, listen, guys, I'm a consistently profitable trader. I'm there. So over time, I can develop unique ideas and subjective ideas of how I want to take a trade. Now, I'll never take a subjective trade that flies in the face of what my system is telling me to do, but it does mean that there can be times in the chart where if I see an opportunity or a pattern that I've seen repeat multiple times before, I might take action, right? Doesn't mean I have to, but I might. Whereas if my system tells me to take a trade, I'm required to take action, because that's what following the rules means. It means if your system gives you a trade, you take the trade, regardless of how you feel about it. Whether you're like, I don't think about it. And I think that anybody can do that. There are people that I've traded with for a long time, and they don't do that at all. They just follow their system. And there are traders that I've traded with for a long time that do what I do as well, who occasionally take subjective trades. And the common denominator is that those who can take subjective trades and still pull it off are already consistently profitable traders with their system. So I think that if you're not there, don't worry about it. If you're there, well, then just start looking for patterns. That's kind of the best way that I know how to do it. And we're going to cover a lot of this, not so much subjective trades, but we're going to cover, systematic reversal trades. We're also going to cover systematic mean reversion systems as well as we progress through the educational material. And purple eyeshadow looking sexy. Thank you, baby. Don't have purple eyeshadow on, but thank you. Highly appreciated. Sure, it is the contrast. Although Liz Taylor from American Horror Story Season 5 Hotel, one of my favorites, one of my favorite characters. And I'm typically somebody who is not a big fan of things like for those of you guys who haven't seen the show, not a big fan of things like what is it, transparent? Not for any particular reason. I just don't like the show. Like somebody tried to make me watch it, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll check it out. Didn't like the character. Didn't like the way it was portrayed. But Liz Taylor in American Season 5, or American Horror Story Season 5 is a fucking fantastic character. Awesome character. Anyways, all right, so let's get rid of Fisher Transform, and let's go back to talking about regular PTP. Def, the purple shirt light bouncing into his eye sockets. Oh, okay, yeah. It's not a purple shirt. It just must be the it's so here is why it looks fuzzy. Okay, so I have an overhead light. It's just a second. I want to do it right. Okay, so yes, I just Wikipedia'd the difference between incandescent and fluorescent. So my overhead lights are fluorescent, and I don't like the I don't know, I'm not sure what the technical term is, but they just don't make the lighting look very good in here. And then I have studio lighting that makes everything look really, really good. I don't know if you guys noticed from the first scene from the wide camera angle. I really like that look, and I'd like to find something that looks more like that. And that way I can do cool things like do colored lights and get some RGB in here and get some LED lights in here and, kind of make the vibe very, very neat and cool in here. But because I use a green screen, you just have to throw a million tons of light on that thing, and that washes out all the texture in the room. So, yeah. So that's why I think I'm going to need to shift the desk. Agency says, I don't like strong female characters. Well, he was born a man, so maybe that'll help. Check out season 5. Really plain. Glad to be here. Your trading speak is so refreshing, brother. Thanks for sharing your time. Thank you, man. Highly appreciated. Hold on one second. Back. Okay. In other news. So Wadatar has trend flipped again. And as I said yesterday, I didn't exit my short trade yesterday. I said exactly what I needed to see. You guys have access to the exact same Wadatar explosion that I do. Did we close this column above the explosion level? Did not. Held the trade open. There was no reason not to. And now we have, well, naturally, we have another red column printing above a rising explosion level. It means volatility is expanding. We are potentially moving into an expansion area of the market. That means that volatility-wise, a trend can be generated off of this. And since the dominant direction is to the downside, and it's easy to determine that by having a baseline on your chart, you just trade. If price is below the baseline, you are typically looking for trending shorts. If price is above the baseline, you are typically looking for trending longs. Now, so if we zoom that out, get rid of the trade qualifier for a second. Now, if we look at that, we can see that what are the most profitable movements to take in Bitcoin? Well, they're long holding trending trades to the upside. So looking for longs when price is above the baseline, as you guys can see very clearly there, looking for longs when price is above the baseline. And conversely, on the way down, looking for shorts Oh, why am I trying to draw over there? Looking for shorts below the baseline when price is below the baseline. Again, you see the exact same phenomenon over here. See the exact same phenomenon here. See the exact same phenomenon here and here, and of course here, right? Always looking to trade in the dominant direction of the trend can save you a lot of headache. Now, unfortunately, there are going to be tricky areas of the market. These areas are called consolidation. When you are beginning to see contraction. Now, the period of contraction that we saw in Bitcoin for about 3 months over here, this is a tricky area to trade, man. This is where, again, I've said this many, many times. If you can correctly identify the difference between range and trend, which you can use with volatility, then I don't do this currently. I have in the past, but I don't currently. You can turn on an automated trading system, or you can adopt a mean reversion strategy, which means you are attempting to sell anything that goes above a certain median price. So let's go ahead and I'm sure we'll get there eventually. Okay. So we'll get rid of the baseline and we'll bring up volatility expander. And so as you can see, this is volatility expander on the daily. And again, you're going to buy anything that goes below the lower band of volatility expander, which would have you buying here. And you're targeting the upper band or lower band. In fact, this trade might be a loser, but you buy again here, or you DCA, and your targets are always anytime price interacts with the baseline. Your trade would probably be over there. Potentially, you take this breakout because your trending system does give you a signal anyways. But again, we broach back above, so you could sell this area, you could buy this area, and so on and so on and so forth. And then you do get one last buy opportunity here, and you'd have to wait for your trending system to get you into that short. Now, there are perils and pitfalls to that, right? And I don't want people listening to that who haven't really mastered their trending strategy and think that, oh, it's just that easy. No. Again, that also falls into the realm. Listen, mean reversion, reversals, subjective trades, all of that falls into the realm of you need to be there first. All right? You need to be there with consistent profitability with your systems trading strategy, your rules-based, systems-based strategy, before you're starting to look at all this other extra stuff, right? Eon Corritor, Justin, on the hourly, I see a falling wedge formation. Could that be an indication of underlying bullishness? I personally think that so if you're not aware, I absolutely despise chart patterns because I think they don't work. But I will say this, triangles and, channels are no, so I don't like trend line channels because they're subjective. But indicators are typically non-subjective. So something like volatility expander or Bollinger Bands or something like that can typically work pretty well. Again, I don't really like Bollinger Bands. I prefer using, this is volatility expander, which is based off of ATR bands. But anyways, I digress. But falling wedges, I just don't know what to say, man. I've never, I can't even think of a time I've seen a falling wedge work out the way that I wanted it to, And I've traded all kinds of ways, man. I don't think that falling wedges work like the 1 out of 10 times when they work, and you actually do get that kind of so, let's think of the anatomy of a falling wedge. A falling wedge is where you have price contracting, in a range like this. You get this falling pizza type thing, right? And you have price contracting, so you have price trading within this range, and you're getting lower highs and lower lows, and then what you're looking for is this breakout. Well, whether that's the market cycle or whether it's just this asset class, for whatever reason, I almost see all those breakouts just fail. Absolutely, you get a fake out to the upside, and then they fail, and then you end up breaking this wedge. That's my experience with falling wedges. I don't think that I don't think that chart patterns typically work to begin with, and I don't think that falling wedges work at all in particular. But that's just my opinion. If you can find a way to trade the falling wedge chart pattern, then more power to you, brother. One thing I will say, though, that is particularly devious about falling wedges is that you have lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, and lower highs, and lower lows, and lower highs. And I think that if you're looking at a falling wedge pattern as a sign of bullishness, you are missing the trending down, like you're missing the fact that the market is currently going to the downside. And this might help. So let's just take a step back and talk about my fundamental philosophy to the market. And I was thinking about this last night because I'm always looking for ways to better verbalize like my ideas and then explain them to people, because language barrier is a real thing. Like, you know, and you guys are well aware of this. Any person who's watching, who's ever had a relationship or who's ever had a friendship or a relationship of any kind, and you want to explain to the other person how you feel, or, you know, explain to your boss what your thoughts are, or explain to an employee, or explain to anybody, like anything, these ideas that you have in your head, like the process from converting brain idea into mouth formation, and then also getting through the other person's like emotional and psychological barriers for them to actually take the words that you just, you know, excreted out into the atmosphere, and then hear them through their ear holes, and then condense that concept into their brain and have the same brain image that they receive be the same brain image that you emitted. And sorry, it helps to think about the world like abstractly like that, I think, because that's really what's going on, guys. You know, you think that you're conveying an idea, you're not. You are using muscles in your mouth to form muscles and bones and teeth to form words that are then travel through space, that enter into the ears of somebody else via physics, and then their brain has to not only hear it correctly, but then process it and send it electrochemically to their neurons so that they can process it in their consciousness, whatever the fuck that is, because we don't know. So it's not as simple as I convey an idea to you. No, you guys are well aware of this. Anything that I say out of my mouth, you're going to interpret, every single one of you watching is going to interpret differently based on your past, your current emotional mood, your current psychological state, you know, what you ate last night, how much sleep did you get? Are you on drugs? Are you on drugs? You know, are you taking caffeine? Are you taking nicotine? All of those things can influence your interpretation of somebody else's sound waves, right? So, so I'm always looking for ways to take my trading ideas that I know work because I'm consistently profitable and I've trained and tutored many, many people. But just convey the ideas easily, more easily. So let's zoom back. Let's go to a fresh chart of Bitcoin. So here we are on the Coinbase chart. So a very popular school of trading, and I would say that what a lot of people are exposed to is I want to look at this chart, right? So I want to zoom way out and I'm looking for big patterns, right? I'm looking for big fractals, I'm looking for big, I don't know any word for it, big chart patterns, like head, maybe here's a shoulder, here's like a wing-a-ling type thing, right? Oh, look at this trend line right here. Oh, yeah, and that pattern broke down. And there's like a smaller, there's like a micro trend line in there, and there's like a micro pattern. And then, let's throw a pitchfork on here, and then, oh, wait, we got this, oh, if we flip it logarithmically, we got like this long-term trend line thingy going on, which, oh my God, look at hit price. You know what that means. And I don't say this stuff to be disparaging because I know people who have generally varied success with this, generally less success than they claim. But this is a common way of looking at the market, right? I'm looking at price history. I'm looking at support and resistance. I'm looking at supply and demand, whatever that means. And, I'm looking for all these past fractals and repeatable patterns that have occurred on this asset in the past to attempt to determine predictions about the future or where I would like to take action in the market, right? So that is one way of looking at price. Here's how I look at price, or here is how I approach trading. So it's not price. So that is looking at historical price in a contextual way, as in historical price has some bearing on current price, and that there is an edge to interpreting or contrasting current price against historical price in such a fashion. And then, once you kind of accept that basic premise, then we're just talking about methodology. Now we're talking trend lines or chart patterns or support and resistance, or supply and demand, all of these kind of concepts, Fibonacci extensions, all of those things. All of those things fit in. All of those techniques, right? So everything, Fibonacci, trend lines, support and resistance, supply and demand, channels, all of those concepts, those are all just techniques that are so none of those things make sense unless you accept the first premise that all of those techniques are based on, which is that historical price contrasted with current price can derive a statistical edge in taking future action, right? You can determine with a higher degree than random, so with higher success than just a random coin flip, you can have a higher degree of success by basing your current decisions or future decisions upon how to trade on historical price and current price contextualized, right? So that's the premise, and you have to accept that premise. And if you accept that premise, then all of those things that I just mentioned, Fibonacci, trend lines, channels, blah, 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 all that stuff makes sense. There's another way to look at the market, which is right now, which is this. This is all that matters. Nothing in the past matters. Nothing in the past is predictive. Nothing in the past matters. There's only one piece of data that we have out of this chart, and that is this purple number right here on my chart, and that is current price. That is, what is price doing right now? Because this is the present. We're not in the past. We are inevitably moving toward the future, but the only data that we have right now is current price. That's all we actually have. That's the only piece of actionable data that is being transmitted objectively from the market through the internet to this trading platform, to my eyeballs, into my brain, right? And so that means that the only objective piece of data that we can rely on for current price at this point in time is current price. So we should base all our decisions on that. So it doesn't matter what happened in the past, doesn't matter what we think is gonna happen in the future, you just trade whatever current price is telling you to trade. And if you accept that premise, then technical objective indicator-based strategies begin to make a whole lot more sense to you, and those other things start to make less sense. So you have to accept premises before concepts before you can accept concepts, before concepts make sense in your mind. So, not to get too existential here, but if you are ever having a conversation with somebody, or you're like, investigating or just doing some research or just coming across things, and you ask yourself, like, how the frick can these people believe this? How can they believe this concept or this worldview? Well, just reverse engineer it. Just go back to what is their basic premise that you would have to accept for that concept to make sense. That you have to construct a worldview. You have to construct a worldview in which concepts make sense, right? And that doesn't matter whether you're talking about religion or politics or trading or sex, or it doesn't really matter. All of those things kind of fall into the same. All those things kind of fall into the same category. Not the same category, but you have to accept basic premises about the world for concepts or techniques to be valid. And if you don't accept those premises, then the concepts are not valid. And I use this a lot of time in debate. I use this a lot of time in argumentation, because people will try to slip premises past you, right? So, you will be on the surface arguing about, whether God exists, right? For example. And maybe that's a bad example, but you can slip past that instead of, accepting that does work. This might be a little out there, but sorry, I can't think of a good one on the spot. But, for example, if somebody is debating with you on the concept of whether God exists or not, okay, well, there is a more underlying premise. There's an underlying premise to that, which is metaphysical, right? So you have to look at the metaphysics of the question. Because if you're arguing about whether God exists or not, you are accepting into the argument already whether or not, the concept that the universe requires something that is a deity to exist, right? So, again, perhaps that's existential and a bad example, but if you drive past the concept of, so maybe a better idea would be like whether the Christian God exists, right? So instead of like, and they're using, appeals to authority, and they're quoting the Bible and things like that, which again, I have no problem with. I have no problem with people who practice Judeo-Christian religion. And honestly, they've got just about as much to stab at the nature of reality as the rest of us, honestly, because we're primates running around and we don't know shit about anything, guys. No offense, but Yeah, not anybody who's like, Christians are stupid, man. Yeah, we're all stupid, man. Just chill out, dude. They got honestly, they got about just as much chance of being right as the rest of us. And generally they're pretty decent people, man, with exceptions. So sorry, I got this on this long tangent about philosophy, but that's a good way to bring me back. Eli back. What's up, my brother? The one, the man, the myth, the legend. Hold on, let's get some excitement. Let's get some sub love in here, man. Hold on. Here we go. Boom. Boom. What's up with the $10? Thank you so much, my good friend. He says, I need to get like a sound effect in here. What's that Windows sound effect that's like dun dun? Scott, we need to get my soundboard set up, man. He says, I have been hodling some SolveCare BTC at about 1,150 sats. I sold around 1,531. Would it be safe to say that it's looking like another leg up? I appreciate you. No, I appreciate you. SolveCare. Let's go take a look. First off, I'm going to open on this screen. I want to look at some fundamentals. Guys, come on, man. Stop dancing, dude. We're trying to be serious around here. Who put those people up there? This is silly, man. Your bird pattern was better. I missed the chicken wing TA pattern. Wendy says, I'm starting to get worried I joined a cult. Yeah, man. We're about to bust out the black hoods and the Kool-Aid. Start talking about Lord Xenu. If I was to join a cult, it would definitely be a Cthulhu cult because I like the word eldritch and I like to read. Other than that, one of us. Sorry. So I want to go to CoinMarketCap. There it is. Did I just get fished? CoinMarketCap.com. Okay. Feel like I'm getting fished. All right, looking at Solve. All right, so a couple things here. 90th. Well, that's really gotten up there, hasn't it? Okay, so let's just look at the big historics of SolveCare. You know, looks like a lot of cryptos back here. Oh man, this thing really just bumped and dumped, didn't it? Healthcare IT company. It builds blockchain platforms which a team believes may improve the way healthcare is delivered and managed. You know, I have this idea that, I don't know, I'm kind of mixed on whether token economics makes sense when, now I know this is I'm gonna get like probably like 15,000 hate mails, but I'm unsure about whether token economics makes sense in an environment where we're trying to just transmit data, right? I mean, now, don't get me wrong. So it's possible that my worldview on this might be distorted because I've grown up in America and, it's just impossible to kind of get these concepts of like, government subsidies out of one's head and things like that. You know what I mean? Because typically, like healthcare, like data storage and stuff like that. MT Coiner, man. Thanks so much for the $11, dude. Let's get it going, man. Hell yeah, dude. Get the people dancing, bro. Yeah, let's go, man. Hell yeah. Thank you so much, my good friend. How are you doing today, MT Coiner? So anyways, my whole idea is that I think I need to get a good I think I need to hear a good like reason why healthcare records need to be decentralized, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I get putting them on the blockchain like that. That's fine so that we know that the documents are incorruptible and untamperable with. But I don't see why you would want to, open that to a volatile market or token economics, because it just seems like, okay, well, you need tokens to send and make sure that everything's verified. Well, it still seems like, let's just talk about something like, whatever healthcare or hospital we're talking about would just print the tokens and not really charge for them. Doesn't that seem to make more sense, And then when we get oracles, we can have, chain interoperability. So whatever records are on. So let's say we've got the Blue Cross Blue Shield chain, right? And it's got all the patients who have Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance, all their medical records are on there, and they're secure and they're encrypted and they're on the blockchain. Now, they have a token that are required to send the transactions around, but the transactions, but the tokens are printed by Blue Cross Blue Shield, and they're just distributed to Blue Cross Blue Shield. Let's say it's delegated proof of stake or something like that, right? So there's no token economics as far as, it makes USD sense to buy up the token. And then you've got Amera Healthcare over here, right? And they've got the AmeriCare blockchain, and all the AmeriCare people who have AmeriCare insurance are on the AmeriCare blockchain. All the records are on there, and AmeriCare has their own token, but it's not publicly traded. It's just a private ledger chain. But because of oracles, we have interoperability so that these records can be transmutated across to another chain, and because they're on the blockchain, they are encrypted and secure. So I don't know. Yeah, I get the fact that the private market can do it, but I don't. That's my problem. When I'm talking about altcoins, and again, we can trade whatever. We can trade dog poop coin for all I care. And we'll look at the chart here in just a second. But I'm just thinking about this from a fundamental perspective. Like, can you guys explain the token economics of, like, why it would make sense to buy? I mean, I get that that a blockchain would be attractive, right, for medical records. I get that, but I don't know if I am sold on the token economics. Maybe I just need some more education, or maybe I just need somebody to explain it better to me. But that is a lot of these fields, like the token economics don't seem to make sense to me, so I don't see the investment opportunity. So, but we are trading at about 13 pennies. Excuse me. $13 per solve. Hey, Dominus, what's going on, man? So anyways, enough of that rambling. Let's go look at solve. Looks like we're going to have to go to... Oh, we are on Bittrex. Hey, hey, mom, I love the way you move. Gonna make you sweat. Gonna make you groove. Random arbitrary line doesn't mean anything. We can get more price data for this, right? I mean, this is how it's trading on a major exchange with liquidity, so this is probably what we're going to be interested in. But we can also go to... Oh, come on. Yeah. So when did this launch on Bittrex? It got listed on Bittrex. Well, this is the same. This goes back to December 2018. Yeah. And if we go over here, this is only February 2019. So we actually have more market data over here. So go Bittrex. Okay, yeah, that's a good argument there, Jack. So taking control of your own medical records, controlling permission to view and edit your history. I definitely see that, man. I definitely see that. And so from that premise, I can understand the value prospect of um the value prospect of what that could offer to the world. Blockchains for medical records need only to stop at the word insurance. So we need that socialized healthcare first, right? Okay, so let's do a couple of things here. I'm not gonna lie to you, Eli. You know, I don't like to see these God dang it, man. Sorry, guys. So I don't like to see these pretty high volatility drives up into supply. But you have, we can go and look at quite a few. And this isn't even really low sat. This is a mid sat coin. Anything above 1,000 sats is not a low sat. This is mid sat. So here's the thing, man. I agree with Ferguson, man. Take profit and run. But we are in an interesting area of altcoins, and I've seen all. Here's the thing, man. You always, every single altcoin trade is going to be thrown a jab, and the way that you counter that is by position sizing appropriately, right? So here was a potential entry, right, to look for a strong trend, because we've seen these altcoins run up, 100, 200% this month. So, we are in a unique environment where Bitcoin is ranging and altcoins can put in these pretty big gains. Because all the requirements are here for a trending trade. They were there yesterday. Yesterday would have been your entry if you were charting this right. At least for a system that's not using Parallax confirmation, because Parallax is more sensitive, or excuse me, less sensitive. It's looking at longer term trends. So you have minks above the 0 line, you have Wadatar explosion confirmation, and you have a rising explosion level. You have expanding volatility. Now, can this chunk back down immediately? Yes, it absolutely can, man. And the way that you counter against that is by position sizing. And you are driving up in the demand on pretty high volatility. But you did that over here, and you did form a higher low. So none of that stuff really matters, man. To be honest with you, I'm just, kind of picking apart details about different subjective elements of the chart. At the end of the day, yesterday, so to be quite honest with you, I can't recommend that you enter into this trade for the simple reason that we're way above the qualifying line. Yesterday was the entry. Yesterday was the perfect optimum entry. And, what's nice about taking that correct entry is also the fact that, if you drop back down below the baseline, you're very close. You're very close to your entry. So that really helps with your loss typically. Because it can happen with altcoins that you do end up just, chunking all the way down and hitting your stop loss. And that always sucks when that happens, man, but you take the risk. So, this is a little past prime. I don't want to say this is, I'd say if you took profit on this, I'd be pretty happy. This is, it's a good, what did you say specifically? 1150. Yeah, that's not too bad at all, man. Ooh, you beast, you. He basically sold the wick. That's a 35% trade. That's good, man. I'd be quite happy with that. You know, there's kind of two ideas. You get a little long exposure. You know, if you're feeling really, really risky, you could take a bite on this or look for a pullback and look for price to hold above that baseline. But these altcoins tend to just run. They tend to just run. If they're not going to run, like they don't, you know, move in like nice, smooth waves. Low sats particularly, you know, and this is borderline lower sat, mid sat. Yeah, Ferguson, that's pretty awesome, man. Yeah, just take 50%, set your stop loss to break even, done. Yeah, no, Dominus, I completely agree with you. I mean, I'm pretty much for putting everything on the blockchain. If there's any data, put it on the blockchain. My point is that people are trying to build business models around these concepts that are that I'm not sure makes sense. It seems like instead of this, you know, whatever this token is having its own monetary value, you know, you would just utilize some general currency, one might argue Bitcoin, which was designed to be money, to pay the company. And then because I believe in the capitalist, or I believe in public ownership of companies, right? I believe that owning stocks works. I believe that owning stocks can give the public the power to incentivize companies because it gives the public purchasing power over stocks. We have problems when we have centralized authority of money. We have problems when we have centralized authority of power in the form of government and corporatism, because then the governments and banks and large financial institutions can collude, often in a very illegal and unsavory way, to influence the market and take control in private business. So you have essentially in function, but not in form, you have government control of private markets, private equity, which is not the way that it's supposed to be. So yeah, my entire idea here, I guess, is what I'm saying is currently where my mind is on this. I'm absolutely for all these projects that want to tokenize medical data, that want to tokenize drugs, that want to tokenize, you know, frickin' real estate, all that. Yeah, tokenize it, put it on the blockchain, man. Make it, you know, verifiable, non-deletable, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, you got to do a lot of convincing to convince me that, okay, well, we're going to do that. And because of that, we're going to make this token. And if you buy the token, it might go up in value. It's a bunch of shit, man. For the most part, there are some token projects out there that have phenomenal token economics. Wally, what's up, man? Let's get some excitement in here, dude. We got to get some more excitement when people throw down the love, my brother. 499. He says, "Hey, Justin, happy Friday. Buy yourself a dozen XRP just because. Learn, earn, and don't get burned." Thank you, my good friend. Shout out to you and shout out to Gunbot University. Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic Friday and crushing the market in an automated fashion. Yep. Buy myself. I'm gonna go buy myself a dozen XRP, dude. Yeah, I think that would be a great shirt, man. Front, hit TP1, and the back says stop loss to break even. That's it, man. All right, guys, it is 1:01. We're going to take a quick break, guys. It's Friday, man. Let's real quick talk. I want to just mention it again because we've got it coming up. So, sfblockchainweek.io. Pull your browsers right on over there, right? So, look at all these beautiful people. I am trying to talk to all of them. Holy crap, Hester Pierce is going to be there. She just got added to the list. Oh my God, Crypto Mom herself is going to be there. Oh my dear Lord. Olaf Carlson Wee from Polychain. Vitalik's going to be there. Mike, Mr. Novogratz is going to be there. Oh my Jesus Lord, they added Jihan Wu. Jihan is going to be in the building. Whew, man. Jesse Powell is going to be there. There's just, Joe Lubin's going to be there. Justin Can is going to be there, founder of Twitch. Brad Burnham's going to be there from Union Square. Samson Mao. Sergey from Chainlink. Charlie Shrem's going to be here. Taylor Moynihan. She's got a great podcast. So really, really excited to go to this, man. And if you guys are interested in going, don't click this buy tickets button because you can see that they're pretty expensive. Use the link down in the description. It'll save you 15% off if you do want to attend the event. So the link is in the YouTube description. If you're watching this on Twitch or DLive or Facebook, or if you're on Roku, just point your browsers on over to yt.crackingcryptocurrency.com. We'll take you to our YouTube channel and you can check out this video. It is called Bitcoin's Price Explained. It's the one that's live right now, and you can click on that link. Anyways, guys, hope to see you there. We're going to do some fun. We're going to have a crypto meetup. Anyways, guys, we will be right back. Going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. I'm telling you. Don't make me warn you. Just kidding, guys. Do some push-ups, man. Go grab a smoke. I'll see you guys in just a couple minutes. Okay. Stuck in the middle with you. How you guys doing? We got a lot to cover. Let's go to the exciting news of the day with crypto news. I do need to re-record the crypto news segment, guys. But here we are anyways. Sorry. Yeah, I got it. Cookies. Incognito browser. 18th million Bitcoin to be mined today, while only 208 days left to the Bitcoin halving. Yes, guys. There is only 6 months left until the Bitcoin halving. And you know what that means? It means everyone and their mom has an opinion on how this fundamental event that only occurs once every few years is going to boost the price of Bitcoin to unparalleled, unprecedented all-time highs. Question of the day. Do you guys believe that the halving is going to have an extremely bullish effect on price, as it typically does? Do you think that there is a fundamental reason for that? Do you believe that the scarcity narrative is baked into, why price appreciates at these or up until these fundamental events? Or do you feel that what we experienced in 2017, post-halvening, was irrational exuberance, and that what we'll likely see for this halvening event is very similar to what we saw with Litecoin's halvening event, which is where Litecoin did have a massive run-up up until the halvening, and then the halvening happened, and price went something like that. But the Bitcoin network is set to reach another milestone today, with the mining of the 18 millionth Bitcoin predicted to take place later today, according to Chainalysis. Well, just according to the chain. In an attempt to raise awareness, my man A Pomp suggests the community get the hashtag 3 million left trending today. So make sure you guys head on over to Twitter and tweet hashtag 3 million left. I'd like to see your prediction for price as well, and then at us at cracking_crypto. That would mean that by today's end, nearly 85% of Bitcoin's total supply will have been mined. 10 years in, guys, we've already mined 85% of the supply. Only 3 million more Bitcoin remain to come into existence over the coming years. Around 2145, I believe, will be when the last Bitcoin is estimated to be mined. According to BitcoinBlockHalf.com, as of 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we stand just 812 coins short of reaching the 18 million milestone. Further still, we are only 208 days or about 6 months away from the next block reward halvening, scheduled to occur at the block height of 630,000 blocks. Now, despite the recent downtrend in Bitcoin's price, many in the Bitcoin community are, of course, still anticipating a massive rally leading up to the halvening. After a promising Q2 and Q3 this year, the start of Q4 and the remaining months leading to the halvening may represent the calm before the storm. Now, according to the current estimates, the third halvening in Bitcoin's history can be expected to take place on May 14th, 2020. Satoshi Nakamoto's Bitcoin implementation sought to create a self-sustaining system that in some ways would emulate the mining of gold. That being said, over time, mining is becoming more difficult, and the rewards collected are slowly reducing so as to control the total supply. Nakamoto wrote, quote, "The steady addition of a constant amount of new coins is analogous to gold miners expending resources to add gold to circulation. In our case, it is CPU time and electricity that is expended. Once a predetermined number of coins have entered circulation, this incentive can transition entirely to transaction fees and be completely inflation-free, having an asset-based system of currency as opposed to a debt-based system of currency, which we currently experience." Now, the current block reward stands at about 12.5 BTC for every block mine. It's about every 10 minutes on average. Every 10 minutes on average. Now, by the 2020 halvening, the block reward is going to be cut in half again to 6.25 BTC. Now, Twitter analyst Plan B, as among many others, always are pointing to the fact that Bitcoin's price does historically shoot up as a result of the halvening. However, we do have to understand that this is a growing and evolving marketplace. Let's see here. A more bullish Twitter user by the name of Wrecked Capital stated that if Bitcoin behaves similar to the last two halving events, its price will be anywhere between 385,000 to 425,000. So let's get them, guys. What are your guys's big old number predictions for what Bitcoin's price is going to be as a result of the halvening? I know you got them. A more conservative analysis by DataDater using a stock-to-flow analysis powered by machine learning derived a prediction model putting Bitcoin's price at 15,500 by May of next year, or about up 90% from today's price. So that's still a potential to double your money. And that's considered conservative. But isn't hashtag 3 million left what is needed to swing the next US election? Oh, you card, you. Okay. 1 second, guys. We're back. Traveling in and out of time. Okay. So, according to the Bank of International Settlements and G7, Bitcoin has already failed, but global stablecoins are a threat to central bank sovereignty. So, a new report issued from the G7 and the Bank of International Settlements has labeled Bitcoin and other early cryptocurrencies a failed experiment. They are not an attractive means of payment or a store of value. They have absolutely failed, fallen off the cliff. They're not going to work. Seems like they would have a incentive to say that kind of thing, wouldn't they? Kind of like you wouldn't expect Walmart to be like, yeah, Kmart, competition. They are crushing it. I mean, honestly, we're shopping at Kmart ourselves and we work at Walmart. I mean, you guys should totally go there. I mean, they're just, we weren't sure at first, because obviously they represent a direct threat to our business model and our centralization of control over our product. But, in the end, they're just doing a much better job. And you guys should just totally go over there and shop the competition because we are on the way out. I don't think I'm ever going to hear that ever in the history of my life. I don't think I've ever heard that. And I don't think that I'm likely to hear that. I just don't really see, I'm trying to think of a good, I don't see like Vladimir, world championship boxer saying, yeah, man, my competition, God, he's totally going to kick my ass, man. I mean, he's just so much better. So much better. Look at him. The physique. Now, this October report also argues that widely adopted asset-pegged cryptocurrencies or stablecoins, such as Libra, are a growing threat to monetary policy, financial stability, and competition. More of the same. It's like almost like we've heard this before. These widely adopted stablecoins, dubbed in the report as global stablecoins, have the potential to reach an international audience, which they already have, and with them, quote, carry significant adverse effects, quote, end quote, to the current economic system. However, the report does go on to label Bitcoin and others as largely a failure. Quote, first-generation cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin have suffered from highly volatile prices, limits to scalability, complicated user interfaces, and issues in governance and regulation, among other challenges. Thus, crypto assets have served more as a highly speculative asset class for certain investors and those engaged in illicit activities, rather than as a means to make payments. Well, again, if you to accept that, we'll just go back to what we were talking about earlier. For that to make sense, you have to accept a certain premise that is the primary function of these things. And I talked about this yesterday. You know, there is a narrative out there, and I would like to label it the Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV narrative, that Bitcoin has failed because it's not a good medium of exchange. Okay. So that's a premise that maybe the best use case for Bitcoin is a medium of exchange. Okay. The premise that you have to not accept to accept that premise, so that you can accept that narrative, is that there is more, that Bitcoin serves a more attractive function as a tool to purchase coffee, to shop at Amazon, to buy shit at the gas station, to purchase your smokes, to buy gasoline, to do all your daily transactions. Okay. We already have technological solutions for those day-to-day purchases. Okay. And that's PayPal, that's things like Stripe, that's credit cards. All of that technology already exists, and there's nothing wrong with that technology. The issue relies on the settlement, right? So banks and credit card companies don't actually finalize and settle transactions. They settle transactions in bulk. They don't settle transactions for several days, several weeks. With Bitcoin, you have verified final settlement in about 20 minutes, right? 10 minutes if you're only waiting for one block confirmation, which I don't recommend. So Bitcoin gives you final settlement in today's terms nearly instantaneously relative to how long it takes banks to achieve final settlement. You can simply add Bitcoin as the final settlement layer to these already existing payment methods. That is the point. Bitcoin is unconfiscatable, meaning that if you are a political dissident, meaning that if your government turns totalitarian, meaning that if your government tries to seize your bank funds, which we've already seen. We've seen it in Cyprus. We've seen it in Greece. We've seen it in communist nations. We've seen it in Venezuela. We've seen it around the world. Again, Greece is not that far off. Greece is not Venezuela. We saw it in Greece. We can see it in other European nations, and we can certainly see it in America. If the government gets in a tight spot, the first thing they do is grab cash from the banks. That's your money. Bitcoin is unconfiscatable. It prevents that from happening. Your private keys, your private money. It's also pseudonymous, meaning that it's not completely private, but you can use things like blending and proper OPSEC to make your Bitcoin transaction for the most part anonymous, meaning that you can utilize Bitcoin. And the other thing is permissionless. So if you want to send Bitcoin, even if people know who you are, even if your anonymity has been breached, you can still utilize Bitcoin to send your transaction without any centralized form of authority stopping you. They cannot stop you from supporting the cause that you want, the political campaign that you want, the company that you want. All of those are dangers. It's also, again, I'm going to argue, a good store of value in the long term against the malfeasance, corruption, and centralization of fiat money, which is an old technology on the way out. It will take time for all of these things that we take for granted. Listen, the lack of volatility, so let's go through this list here. Hold on a second. So they say that first generation cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin have suffered from highly volatile prices, limits to scalability, complicated user interfaces. El Dorino 121. Thanks so much for the follow over there on Twitch, my good friend. So they say that first generation cryptos have suffered from highly volatile prices, limits to scalability, complicated user interfaces, and issues in governance and regulation. So let's take those one by one. Highly volatile prices. People take the non-volatility of the United States dollar or centrally issued fiat for granted because we've had so much centralization of authority and power in the form of governments. If you go back several hundred years, if you go back 1,000 years in human history to where you had many competing nation states or many competing small empires, or anytime you have domestic dispute or large-scale warfare, the currency of a nation state becomes highly volatile. We've seen highly volatile currencies in recent modern times. Go back to the hyperinflation of the German Deutschmark, go back to recent hyperinflation in Venezuela. Highly volatile currency is not something that is unique to Bitcoin. High volatility is a result of uncertainty in the marketplace. And the only reason we have a lack of uncertainty, for the most part, with government central issued fiat, so dollars or Canadian dollars or Aussie dollars or Swiss francs or European dollars or anything like that, is because, for the most part, the governments are fairly stable. But that is a knife edge. We can move into political instability at any point in time. And if you look at the volatility in the Forex markets, that can, again, you have large bank manipulation that controls the volatility of the Forex market. So that can go away at any time, and that can exacerbate at any time. It's not some unique concept. So this high volatility is only because Bitcoin's 10 years old and because it is a tool used by many against the government, right? It's just new, okay? It's not taken for granted. We take low volatility for granted, just like we take security for granted, just like we take privacy for granted. But we shouldn't, because nothing that we do is private if you're taking privacy for granted. So it's this illusion. It's this illusion of what reality is because we've become so comfortable with our government control. Governments have made everything safe and nice and convenient and low volatility, but that's not reality. In reality, we are mammals walking around about 10 breaths away from just ripping each other apart should all of that peace and stability go away. Unfortunately, because human history has showed us over and over and over again, instead of fundamentally forming societies that deal with the innate problems of mankind, all we do is build up the same centralized power structures that exacerbate, eventually over time, the same dark depths of humanity, instead of actually addressing these problems through philosophy and raising our children together and forming actual goals for our community and growing in a sociological fashion, actually moving humanity up a couple pegs on the ethical and morality scale. We don't deal with those fundamental issues. I meet so many people, man, and, I don't want to get too off the rails with this, but here's the thing, man. Most people, average day people, do not have life figured out. They don't know how they feel about metaphysics. They don't know how they feel about God. They don't know how they feel about morality. They don't know how they feel about ethics. They don't have really clear plans. Some do, and those are the people that I try to surround myself with. But the majority of mankind, people in governments, all the way down to the beggars on the street, do not have life largely figured out. We do not promote the study of philosophy. We do not promote the study of ethics. We do not promote the proceduralization of how a young man or a young woman comes to grow into a coherent, functioning, well habit-formed, highly disciplined, focused, motivated person. All of that stuff, you have to search on YouTube for motivational videos. You have to listen to Gary Vee. You have to read some books. You have to find a mentor. All of these things. It's a very non-proceduralized way of doing things. And you would assume that after being around on this ball of rock for a few million years, well, not in our current form, but let's say a couple 100,000 years, that we would have figured some of this stuff out. Why is it so difficult to be born into this world, regardless of where you're born, and not have a roadmap for how to grow up? Like, we haven't figured that out. We haven't figured out how to, like, in a very proceduralized way, teach young men and women, hey, this is how you grow up. Why? Like, why is that not more important? It's ridiculous. That's like all I've focused on with my kids is philosophy and ethics and morality and grit and determination and work and solving problems and critical thinking. Because of that, my kids blast most kids out of the water, dude. So anyways, it blows my mind. So in the same sense of just like stability is an illusion that is presented to you from the government. In reality, we're a couple breaths away from absolute warfare and chaos at about any moment in time. And the reason why is because we haven't same problem. We haven't fundamentally solved the core issues of humanity. We've applied these government centralized authority bandages to them, which give the illusion of peace, which give the illusion of having our problem solved. But as we know from literally every apocalypse movie we've ever watched, doesn't matter whether we're talking The Walking Dead or whether we're talking about nuclear war or whether we're talking about plague or what, once there's like one little, once there's one little, cog that breaks in the system. Same with the financial system. Once one little cog breaks, everything erupts into chaos. Because the entire system, the entire way we've structured society, not just the financial system, not just the political system, everything from our educational systems to our healthcare systems to literally everything is unsustainable from the ground up. We're not good at building sustainable societies and raising people in sustainable ways because we haven't focused on the right things. We have not focused on proceduralizing, hey, young man, young woman, here's how to grow up and be a well-functioning member of society. We don't care. We outsource that. For the love of God, over the last couple decades, we've completely outsourced the rearing of our children to daycare centers who generally don't give two craps about your child whatsoever. Okay, next one. Sorry, this is kind of long, but limits to scalability. Okay, limits to scalability as a result of not widespread adoption or not widespread demand. If there is demand to scale Bitcoin, Bitcoin would be scaled, right? There is not a massive demand to scale Bitcoin because more and more people are adopting it and realizing that the medium of exchange, the I use this to buy coffee narrative, is less attractive than the unconfiscatable, permissionless, decentralized, pseudonymous store of value, hedge against global inflation, hedge against political instability, hedge against fiat currency narrative. So it's not that the everybody says the store of value narrative is freaking stupid. No, the store of value narrative makes more sense every single day as we see that current people who are utilizing Bitcoin and new people who are coming in to utilize Bitcoin begin to adopt and move Bitcoin toward a more attractive use case. Complicated user interfaces, again, that comes down to demand. If there was high demand, well, and again, what do you mean complicated user interfaces? I mean, modern wallets have made it as pretty simple as you got to have a private key, you got to have a public key. Send money to this public key, boom, it's on your desktop. A lot of it revolves around custody and the very nature of it. But again, that comes down to education. Like for example, driving's fairly complicated, but we've been doing it for so long, you just learn how to do it and you just drive. But, if you think about driving, it's like, oh man, I use one foot to make this rusty metal death machine go faster and then the same foot to slow it down and turning signals, and driving does not make a whole lot of sense to me. It's a very good luck type situation. But again, if there was higher demand for extremely simplistic user interfaces, then we would have highly simplistic user interfaces. That also, I think that the reason why we haven't is because, modern developers of Bitcoin are more are more security focused, as they should be. So you always have to balance user interface with security. And that's just the state of the technology right now. But if, there was this just unstoppable demand for simple user interfaces, you wouldn't stop simple user interfaces, regardless of what security. And of course, issues in governance and regulation. Could be because that's your fault, centralized banks and governments. You're the one who are making this shit complicated, not us. Bitcoin works the way it works. It's you guys trying to figure out, oh, well, yeah, but we need to control it. So we just got to figure out how exactly we can control it and get our 10 pounds of flesh. If you guys weren't worried about that and were more worried about proceduralizing the philosophical grow-up method for men and women, well, maybe we'd be a whole lot better off. But instead, you guys are just focused on converting cryptocurrency into a new asset class and how to tax it. That's the problem. It's you guys making the problem, not cryptocurrency. You guys are the source of the problem. So don't throw that at us as, oh, this is a problem. That's your problem because your priorities are wrong. Anyways. So that's my so let's scroll up here. Actually, hold on, let me finish this. So they're worried about stable coins because they're worried about control on the world. All right, last thing, you know, let's pause there real quick and let's take some comments. Why am I so overexposed in this scene? Ah, jeez. I feel like I'm really bright. Really notice the difference when I turn the exposure down, huh? I'm gonna keep it right there. I think it looks better. You guys might disagree. But I digress. I prefer looking like a regular human and not a glowing angel of light. Okay, let's pull up the chat. Let me see what you guys got to say. How is it somebody started another Cracking Crypto YouTube channel? At least he's only copying your handle and not completely mirroring your channel, as some YouTubers are having that content theft happen. I was unaware of such a thing. Let's go find him. Hello. You sneaky devil. Let's look at these logos real quick. What do you guys think? That looks pretty similar, right? Lock in those gains, baby. Handsome looking guy. I'll give him that. What the fuck is this, MS Paint? Shit's MS Paint, right? I do like the Swedish investor. He like draws with his like thingy. Draws on the screen. Well, okay. Well, thanks for bringing that to my attention. Not much I can do about it. Whatever. Jack, that's some pretty simple math. He thinks the price of Bitcoin is going to be $16,000. If it costs approximately $8,000 to mine one Bitcoin today, having reward means $16,000 cost, very roughly speaking. Well, there we go. I loved Kmart. So did I. They shut down the Kmart that was close to here. Officially exchanging BTC to cash will be forbidden during the financial crisis of 2020-2021. A widely held image of utopia equals Walmart replacing everyday low prices smiley with Kmart's blue light special. Poloniex is leaving Circle in the United States markets. U.S. customer trading ends November 1st. Yeah, I mean, it's good. Well, we knew this was going to happen. We covered the actual announcement of Poloniex already saying that they were going to move to, I believe, to the Bahamas, and saying they were going to end U.S. trading like a couple months ago, but I guess they're actually announcing it right now. Until they flip the switch on the internet, poof, done. That's the true vulnerability. Actually, Bitcoin is in space. All you need is a satellite. Plus, unfortunately, the internet is centralized. There's only a few primary points of failure to shut down the entire global internet. But again, the infrastructure is already there in place, and you can already use. So there's very entrepreneurial people. You can get the internet up and running and have it work. You're not going to have any of the convenience or speed or YouTube or anything like that, but you'll be able to transmit messages, and you'll be able to make Bitcoin work with some pretty smart people. And I think, again, unless you have even if you had roving death squads, it'd be very hard to shut that down, man. It'd be very hard to shut it down. It is a truly decentralized system. And yeah, can they make the convenience of everything go away? Yes. But can they actually shut it down for determined individuals? No, they really can't, man. The genie's out of the bottle, man. You will have people, you will have your local Bitcoin guy that is anti-government, sending transactions around via satellite that is mobile, hooked up to a laptop, hooked up to a small satellite dish where, and he's probably got a couple AK-47s, so when the roving death squads come from him, he can kind of duck and dodge from them. Yeah, the Swiss franc is highly manipulated. All the Forex currencies are highly manipulated. Live on a ball rock? Yeah, we live on a ball of rock. We do. Floating through space, man. Flying around a glowing ball of death. Sorry, just getting through the comments, guys. Shun the non-believers. Liquidate them. So to what extent does any altcoin, including Tether and stables, have merit as a store of value? So I've talked about this a lot before. With altcoins, it all depends on the token economics. And I don't know. The store of value proposition, I think, is the strongest in Bitcoin. If the token economics were strong enough in an altcoin, I could see that argumentation. But not a huge one is coming to mind. Again, store of value, I think that, we've gotten used to utilizing a stable-ish fiat as a store of value. But if you would have invested in the United States dollar and just held it, I mean, you have done nothing but lose almost 100% of your money, hand over fist. It is ridiculous. Whereas if you would have bought and held gold over the same 100-year period, you would be fantastically wealthy right now, or silver, or Bitcoin, literally anything besides fiat currency. Fiat is a terrible store of value, and everybody just wants to count their wealth in dollars because you use dollars to buy stuff. So, store of value, the always throughout history, without exception, the best stores of value have been the thing that makes the most sense to have fundamental value. It's always been gold. It's always been silver. It's been Bitcoin for the last 10 years. It'll probably be Bitcoin for the next 100 years. And so, volatility just comes apart with that. Gold's been highly volatile, but it's been a much better store of value than dollars. Silver's been highly volatile, but it's been a much better store of value than dollars. Long term. Bitcoin's been highly volatile, but it's been a much better store of value than dollars long term. So, this whole, well, it could lose its value tomorrow. It could, man. And, the government could come in and seize all your assets tomorrow. So diversification helps. So don't put all your eggs in one basket. Have 30% of your wealth in Bitcoin, 30% of your wealth in silver, 30% of your wealth in gold, 30% of your wealth in stocks, and then just use what cash you need to transact. Oh shit, better call IT to pull that site. I remember my childhood wardrobe. Kmart was the GQ for the poor. Let's go to the sorry guys. Let's go to the last thing I want to talk about, which is negative yielding bonds, which as a stock investor is a pain in my ass. Excuse me. Bitcoin isn't a Ponzi scheme. Negative yielding bonds are. Yeah, this is a good extrapolation of what the government's like. So you guys got to understand that we have more than $17 trillion. That's trilly with a T. Stuck. $17 trillion worth of money stuck in global negative yielding bonds. I should think about that for just a second. There's $17 trillion of wealth in the global economy, and they are currently sitting in the form of negative interest rate yielding government bonds. And that is leaving many economists to speculate what is the risk to the larger macroeconomic environment and what will it continue to be moving forward, leading others like myself to ponder if their money is safer in Bitcoin and the other alternative assets. Now, entrepreneur and co-founder of Gemini Cryptocurrency Exchange, my man C.W. Voss, Cameron Wrinkle Voss, highlighted the issue of negative yielding bonds in a recent tweet and considers the macroeconomic risk to indeed be real. Now, according to him, this financial reality only multiplies Bitcoin's appeal as an alternative investment asset for those institutional funds, hedges, private investors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Here is his tweet right now. $17 trillion are currently held in negative interest bonds. 17 trillion reasons why you should own Bitcoin. Now, for those of you who live under a rock, negative interest bonds are assets that just naturally depreciate over time, which leaves the investor responsible for finding someone who would be willing to pay a higher price down the road. Now, earlier in August, Bloomberg reported that nearly 30% of all investment-grade securities are currently returning negative yields to investors. So this has a couple things. So, for example, imagine let's just use cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is fine. Imagine you bought a cryptocurrency for a long-term investment. So let's say I'm going to use the BitConnect example because that seems to make a lot of sense to people, because a lot of people in this space just don't have a lot of experience with longer-term investments, longer-term holdings, or understanding yield. So, Binance is kind of putting this idea forward. Coinbase has put this idea forward with holding USDC. But I just want to, and again, all of you who have a savings account are familiar with this as well. So let's actually start there. So my local bank offers a savings. So if you go to my local bank, one of my local banks, because there's a couple in this town, but if you go to the bank where I bank at, and you go to open up a savings account, they are going to offer you about 0.67% interest on your deposits, meaning that all of the money that you deposit, you're going to earn an annual return, an annual interest rate. They're going to pay you for depositing your money with them of about 0.67%. That's less than 1%, obviously, for those of you who suck at math. That's not a lot. That's not a lot. And if you're going to have your money earning interest somewhere, okay, well, it would be nice to earn as much interest as possible. So I put my money in Wealthfront, and they pay me 2.07% interest annualized. So that is quite a bit more. That's almost 4 times more than the money that I would earn having it at my local savings bank, and I feel quite secure with it there because security is also an issue. So often we've seen a lot of cryptocurrency scams that will offer high yields if you deposit a lot of your wealth there, and then they turn around and steal your wealth. So security is definitely an issue. And with things like cryptocurrency, you know, I can't in good conscience, I can't in good faith recommend anybody to take advantage of these, you know, these interest rate schemes. Even though I think that funds are largely secure on something like Binance, I don't think, you know, but again, the risk is always there. The Mt. Gox risk is always there. So it doesn't matter how relatively secure they are. You know, Mt. Gox was relatively secure before Mt. Gox went away. And cryptocurrency, unlike any other asset, you know, because that ultimate end risk exists, it's just very, very hard to justify, you know, the other thing. Now, something like Coinbase is a little bit better because your deposits are insured by USD value. They're not going to guarantee that you get your Bitcoin back, but they will guarantee that you get your USD value of your deposit back up to $1 million, I believe it is. Now, that makes something like Coinbase fairly risk-free to deposit your funds into and receive yield, right? So Coinbase has made themselves somewhat similar, something to a bank. So you can earn interest on your deposit with cryptocurrency, or I believe it's with USDC, their stablecoin, by depositing USDC. And they are incentivized to offer that yield because that helps them grow their stablecoin. They are trying to dethrone Tether, which I may or may not support. One would say that, well, obviously Tether is corrupt, but if all the corruption is true, then Tether's been doing nothing but pumping the price of Bitcoin. And as the Bitcoin investor, why would I want that to go away? The real answer there is because you want the market to grow ethically and naturally. But then the primitive brain comes in and it's like, just trying to make money on my investment, man. The world is the world. So anyways, because interest rates on safer and safer investments have gone down, investors have been forced to push their money elsewhere just to maintain that same level of yield. But unfortunately, to maintain that same level of yield, they've had to upgrade to a riskier investment. So the 3% that you used to be able to earn on a bond over a 5-year period, individuals have now been forced to pull their money out of government bonds and put their money into the stock market to earn that same 3, sometimes higher percent yield. Individuals that were looking for a steady 11 to 12% gain from the stock market, well, since that annualized yield is now down to 7, are forced to take their money out of traditional blue chip stocks and put their money into riskier and riskier investments. It kind of goes all the way up, you know what I mean? From precious metals to cryptocurrency. You know, you're just pushing investors who are secure with yield at this risk level, because the higher the risk, the higher the return or potential return. The lower the risk, the lower the return, but also the safer the investment is, right? So because of this, we've forced more and more people into riskier assets. This is actually why I'm really, really bullish about the stock market, because all this money that's in government bonds is going to be forced from negative interest rates eventually in the United States. I think it's going to happen into the equities markets. And so stock prices are going to boom before they bust, but they are going to boom before they bust. And unlike cryptocurrency, it doesn't just happen like, you know, so pretty bullish on the stock market. Go buy some stocks. Now, let's see here. So to put it in a simpler term, negative interest bonds are a kind of investment where you lend $10 to the government in return for a promised net return of, say, $9 3 years down the road. Now, obviously, this is an absurd proposition. Negative yielding assets are, as a class, unfortunately, are consistently growing, particularly in today's uncertain economic climate, increasing volatility and other geopolitical concerns that are seemingly fueling an ongoing bond rally. So, unfortunately, because more and more people are driving themselves into bonds, the yield's going away. The less scarce something is, the more demand there is for something. So, well, it's because there's no scarcity. Government bonds are plentiful. So, now Bitcoin, despite short-term pullbacks, seems to be proving to be the healthier and more robust investment alternative, again, over the long term. At any point, literally at any point, with the exception of the current all-time high, if you would have bought and held Bitcoin, you would have made money. You would have made more money than just holding your wealth in dollars at any point, with the exception of the current all-time high, which we have yet to breach, but will. So with that being said, let's hop back over into the main scene. And excuse me for just one moment, gentlemen. Cryptonomics asks, I put my money into what? Well, if that's a specific question for me, I have a diversified portfolio, my friend. I own a pretty, a stock portfolio that I'm pretty proud of. It's a dividend investing portfolio. It's taken quite a while to build it. I have quite a bit of cryptocurrency. I have quite a bit of precious metals. I also have some real estate investments as well. The principal risk to any crypto exchange of liquidity is them not putting a suitably stylish red carpet down for Senator Justin Wise profitable. You wrinkle your nose at the inside. Yes, the kiss of death. Yeah, 5G is, risky. Oh, you said earlier you put your money into something and it wasn't legible what I was taught when I was talking about bonds. I didn't hear what I said. Got me puzzled now, man. Audible. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I would have said something like, I'm not sure I would have said something besides the words gold, cryptocurrency, real estate, that is going to make the point of what I was saying not there. I was mostly explaining bonds and negative yielding interest and how the reality of them are pushing people into riskier and riskier investments. And how, excuse me, in the long term, it doesn't matter what it is. There's pretty much there's almost nothing under the sun that's quality that's a worse investment than dollars. Oh, Wealthfront. Wealthfront. I put my money in Wealthfront instead of my local savings account. $2.07% interest per year. All right. Let's finish off by taking a quick look at the Do I fancy investing in a weekend moon retreat timeshare condominium since 2025? No, I'm not big on timeshares, man. If I want to go somewhere, I'll just Airbnb it up. I gotta go take care of this cough, guys. Well, let's do some transitioning and talk about the end of the week, guys. I see you over there. What's up, guys? How you doing? See how like bright it is in here? It was like way cooler. It's way cooler when I can turn off some of the lights. So that's why I'm gonna kind of organize the studio a little bit over the weekend. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another exciting episode of Breaking Bitcoin. Of course, I've been your host, Justin Wise, lead analyst around these parts. It has come to my attention that we won't be streaming Saturday or Sunday. And I don't want that to fill you with a whole lot of panic because I am just the messenger and you guys are the people. You guys are the community. So what you should do, if you want to keep up to date with what we're doing and not feel that deep sense of pit of dread and the need to go watch some other YouTube crypto streamer, because you know you don't feel about them the same way. What we have is special. Then you guys should probably hop in Discord at discord.crackencryptocurrency.com to stay up to date on the latest stuff. Especially come and check out Midwest Attempt's new channel. It's our newest junior analyst. He's done a fantastic job. He's a very helpful individual, and he will be posting his ideas, his trade setups, and his thoughts in his new channel down there, as well as contributing to the CC Trades channel as well. Let's see, guys. Question of the day. What did I ask earlier? I asked a good question of the day earlier. Oh, yeah. Question of the day. Leave your comments in the section down below. I'd love to see them. What are your guys' ridiculous predictions? Really, I don't want ridiculous, but what's the number in your head? So here's the words. It's like a Rorschach test, right? Bitcoin, halvening, 2020. Price, go. You got 3 seconds to answer, right? What's the number that just jumps to your head? I mean, what do you really think deep down? You're like if a big number doesn't pop into your head, then that means that you're not really bullish about Bitcoin's price. If a huge number pops in your head immediately, then you're pretty bullish about Bitcoin's price. So, it's more of a fundamental gut check. Like, where are you guys at with Bitcoin? How do you guys feel about Bitcoin from a fundamental level? And with the halvening 6 months away, if you guys have not thought deeply about these subjects, again, it's time to sit down with a piece of paper, even if it's just a Post-it, and start writing your thoughts down and maybe talking to people and developing. And it's okay if you're on the fence, but just be aware that you're on the fence. Because then if you are unaware that you're on the fence and you go to make some important financial decisions, you're going to get that indecision wibble wobble. And nobody ever likes that. It's a terrible place to be. If you guys have any comments, concerns, questions, sarcastic remarks, or death threats, they go in the comments section down below. I'll try to get back to you within the next 48 hours, especially if it's germane to the situation. If you guys want to support the show, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit the thumbs up button. If you have not already, if you're watching us on Twitch or DLive, make sure to give us a follow and a sub as well over there if you want. It really does help support the show. Links to everything that you could possibly need throughout all of your life are in the description of the YouTube channel. We have accumulated and curated the list of all required elements to proper growth and development. Sometimes I crack myself up. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. I hope you go on to have a very, very fabulous weekend. I expect a little bit of bullishness from altcoins. I expect a little bit of ranging behavior from Bitcoin unless we can actually break down from this area. I doubt it's going to happen over the weekend, to be quite honest with you. We are probably going to list lazily to the right because that is typically what happens on Saturdays. Of course, I am going to hold my short position open unless anything dramatically changes on higher timeframes, which would pretty much be a big explosive candle off of the bottom. Because the dominant direction is to the downside, and I'm just going to hold out through weekend volatility. I'm mostly going to be looking at the altcoin markets to sate my thirst for profits over that same time period, and I suggest you do as well. But as always, trade safely, and I will see you guys on Monday to crack some cryptocurrency, guys. You guys be good. I love you. Peace out.